Welcome back. You're on the line with Juan Roque and my partner crying, the Rhino, Ryan Knowles, and getting into heroes and zeros this week, Rhino. And I got to start with my hero because I'll tell you what, I was so excited yesterday. I even said Ray Horton for president. Not yesterday, Sunday, excuse me. I even said Ray Horton for president. My hero this week, Ray Horton, defensive coordinator, Arizona Cardinals.
I think
a Dick LeBeau kind of disciple who's just come in here and. You know, they struggled last year, right? In the first 8 games of the season, they weren't getting the defense. There was a lot of confusion going on. Of course, the Cardinals went on a horrific skid. But then that midseason, they turned it around. Mm-hmm. And that momentum is carrying over into this season. And he had an interview with a local radio show last week in preparation for the Philadelphia game. And he said some things that I was very impressed with. He sounded like a head coach. Mm. One of them was basically saying, hey, look, I trust the guys now. Now I don't feel like I have to correct them and line them up. They're lining themselves up. They know what to do. They know how to respond. They know how to perform. When your coordinator is starting to say that, they start to loosen those reins, and the end result is what you saw. There's a complete throttling of the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday.
I think you got to give a hero to the whole Cardinal defense.
Okay, we'll salute them.
Yeah, all right. Because that was a
hell of an effort, man. I was just. Yeah. Do you want to talk about a great way to spend a Sunday afternoon, cracking a couple cold beers
absolutely.
And watching the Cardinals dismantle the Eagles?
Yeah, that was great to see, and I was so it's so great as a long-suffering Cardinal fan to see them going 3-0 for the first time since the Ford administration.
Since I was born.
Yeah, since '74. I mean, that's huge, and a big reason why has been their defense. And just some of the playmakers that they have on there, and Ray Horton's really coached them up with that fire zone blitz scheme that he loves to run.
I love it, man. I could watch it all day long.
Hopefully they can keep it going this week against the Dolphins.
Absolutely, I think they are. I mean, when you think about Joe Philbin, I hope he has collision insurance for Ryan Tannehill and for Reggie Bush. Reggie Bush is banged up, and Tannehill still hasn't been physically beaten up. But they got the former Stanford tackle Martin starting at right tackle. That doesn't bode well when you're going to come into and they're playing at home right now.
Couple guys. I mean, on that offensive line, Jake Long, of course. And,
he's a stud, but really after that, there's not much.
Mike Pouncey, the center's pretty good.
He's all right.
He's not his brother. Okay. He's not his brother, but he's still pretty good. So, I mean, the way the Cardinals are playing right now has been very impressive. As a longtime Cardinal fan, I'm so excited for what's going on right now, and they're really starting to catch the eye of the national media, which has been
get some respect. They're ranked number 5 in the ESPN power rankings.
Number 1 in Yahoo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, only one of 3 remaining undefeated teams, which is incredible. So,
how about your hero?
My hero this week, Baltimore Ravens wide receiver Torrey Smith. Less than 24 hours after losing his brother in a terrible motorcycle accident, the Ravens wideout didn't even know he wasn't even sure if he was going to play. Right. Has a fantastic game, catching 6 balls for 127 yards and a couple touchdowns, leading the Ravens to a primetime win.
Got the game ball
over the New England Patriots.
Got the game ball. You saw Coach Harbaugh hand it to him.
That's right. In a game where like we said, he was playing with a real heavy heart. Right. Good for him to keep his brother in his heart and help his team in a clutch primetime win over a conference rival team that they lost to in a very close game in the AFC Championship game last year. So very clutch game, and for him to come up the way he did. He's definitely my hero of the week.
Oh, without question. As an older brother, my little brother means the world to me. And I'm 6 years older than him. He's 32 years old. He has his own family, and I still tell him I love him. I still call him Mijo because, I mean, he was my road dog. He's my baby boy, and I never let anyone mess with him. I actually beat up my best friend when I was a kid for hitting him. So I could definitely feel that type of a loss. I can't even fathom it right now. And hearts out to his family, and hopefully they can bounce back from such a horrific tragedy. And talking about some negatives from last week, right? Because my zero is the obvious, Harvey Updike. And for people who don't know who this trash is, this is a guy who poisoned 100-year-old trees at Auburn University on what's called Toomer's Corner.
That's right.
Apparently, it's a famous landmark on the Auburn campus. And I understand if you're an Alabama fan. I get it. It's a hated rivalry. But you know what? I'm not going to go down to Tucson and desecrate the university.
One of the most famous traditions in college football is after a big win, Auburn fans go down to Toomer's Corner and toilet paper the trees.
Yeah, and he poisoned them.
Terrible.
And not realizing, you said right now that he had actually admitted to it on a radio show. Then he recanted. Of course, he's going to be standing trial for that charge. But the reason I'm having him as my zero is because here's a guy who just can't seem to stay out of trouble. He got arrested this week. He got arrested in Louisiana for terrorizing employees of a home improvement store who wouldn't give him back $150 for a busted lawnmower. This is a guy that just needs to be locked away. This is a guy who's not doing anyone any good. I mean, you're a criminal. You're a scumbag. I understand competition. I understand hatred. But again, there's a line that needs to be drawn. And when you're going and you're ruining tradition and you're ruining other people's property, you're just sick in the head.
You're destroying a landmark.
You're destroying a landmark.
Yeah.
And for what? For what purpose? It's just stupid. I hope they lock this guy away and throw away the key. That's enough. How about your zero, Rhino?
Well, I mean, we've talked about him all week long, all show long, and why should it now be any different? NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell and his scab refs. I swear these guys will be my zero until they bring the real refs back. Just starting to get over the bad press from from last year's lockout. Of course,
a lot of different things, Rhino. A lot of different things.
Bounty gates. I mean, you go up and down the line. All those suspensions. He basically appointed himself. Head of the appeals committee on suspensions that he handed down. I mean, the guy has. I mean, it's like he has no morals.
He's a tyrant.
There's no moral center.
He's a tyrant.
And I mean, Goodell really let this affect the outcome. And just talking about getting back to Monday's game. Let this affect the outcome of one of the NFL's most beloved teams, a team that's a model franchise, a cornerstone franchise in the NFL, owned by the fans.
Right. It's the only publicly owned team in the whole league.
Exactly. And it's really kind of blows your mind, how long he's let this drag out. And our producer Craig Darling was telling us before the show, what a small percent of the referees' revenue really comes from. I mean, it's basically,
it's 100 thousandths of 1%.
Yeah, $1.4 million in the grand scheme of things,
they make that in beer sales in one game.
Exactly, multi-billion-dollar industry. Have you ever looked at their TV contract? It's the biggest in sports. I mean, we're talking about
billions.
We're talking about pennies here in the long scheme of things. And if
you used a good example
and it's really,
from the movie The Social Network, and the big things. It's a speeding ticket.
Exactly.
Pay it and move on. Pay it and move on.
Exactly. So I mean, to fight this the way he has. It's
almost moronic, isn't it?
It's weird because the more that we get into it, the longer it goes, the bigger hole that he's digging for himself. Because as these replacement refs continue to make more mistakes, they don't know what they're looking for. They haven't gone through the proper training. They're going to continue to make more mistakes. They're going to continue to cost games, and the real referees are just going to have more and more leverage.
Rhino, when the head of the Lingerie Football League calls out the National Frickin' Football League
one of their
about their refs being garbage and them being fired because of their player safety.
Yeah, right.
Rhino, I think we've hit a new low. I was speechless when I read that.
And
it was like I've been hit by lightning. I was like, wow.
Everyone gets disgusted by the NFL for what's going on off the field, but we can always point to what's going on the field. It's a quality product, one that's not tainted, one that we watch every single week.
DUIs and domestic violence don't even matter at this point because of what's going on the field. It's a farce.
Exactly. Yeah,
I mean,
it's terrible. It's getting hard to watch week in and week out.
I'm still gonna watch though.
All the all the little things, even just the misholdings, the pass interference penalties. I mean,
roughing the passer when it wasn't roughing the passer.
Exactly. I mean, just some of the things. I mean, the pushing and shoving after the play, they can't seem to keep control over. It's getting out of hand, and it needs to be stopped immediately, as soon as possible. They need to just lock up these refs, give them whatever they want. You're going to make it back tenfold eventually, anyways. So
and Thursday, there's another big game coming up on the nationally televised game, and I'm just not really looking forward to what's going to happen in that one.
I mean, you and I talked about it a little bit. I mean, if I wasn't paying for NFL Sunday Ticket, I'd stop watching the NFL if I wasn't paying for it already.
I don't know if I'd go that far. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this segment for Heroes and Zeros. Let us know who your heroes and zeros are. Join the conversation on our Facebook page. Comment below. Let us know who made you smile and who ticked you off this past week. We're going to be right back, and we're going to be wrapping up the show. Folks, don't go away.